Okay. Welcome to Veterans of the North. I'm your host, Trent Dilks. Joining me today for segments 1 and 3 is Stefan Butch Whitehead. Stefan is the adjutant of the DAV of Minnesota, who presents Veterans of the North. Welcome, Stefan.
Hey, thanks, Trent. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here today. We're going to have a little conversation about the outdoors and veterans. It's something I think we're both familiar with. We've both been involved with, and it's going to be great to take a little bit of a deep dive into it and see what that really means, what it looks like, and what it can look like in the future.
Yeah, Trent, I actually am looking forward to that conversation because you think back, the 10 years ago when we started the program, the outdoors, and where it's at today and how we really kind of taken it to a lot of different levels that when we first initiated this program 10 years ago here at DAV Minnesota, I didn't have the vision of some of the things we're doing right now. And hearing from the veterans that are participating in the outdoor activities and how it's changing their lives and stuff like that, but also hearing other things that we should be doing for them.
And I right away, the first thing that pops into my head, you start talking about outdoors, you start talking about hunting and fishing, right? That's, we're good Midwest boys,
Yeah.
and so we were raised on hunting and fishing. And so I guess those are the first two things that really pop out to me is hunting and fishing. Is that kind of the crux of what we're talking about?
Well, it's funny because, Trent, you think about it, 10 years ago, that literally was where we started. It was like, we got to do all this hunting, fishing, and all that. And over the years, and how it's really evolved into so many other activities that are in the outdoors. And, is it just last year, 18 months ago, we did a little survey to really find out what veterans, what outdoors meant to them. And boy, did we learn a lot. We learned a lot when it came to what veterans considered outdoor activities.
As kind of as I've developed, as I've grown as an outdoorsman, I guess you could say hunting and fishing have actually become less about what I'm doing, less of, where I've been and where I want to head with my outdoors. Hiking is absolutely for me. I call it taking a walk without a purpose.
Yep.
Just going out and getting lost for a little bit. Hiking has become kind of my way of dealing with a lot of stress and stuff like that. So is that kind of the direction that we're looking?
Yep, and that's actually one of the things we just did. Trent, you had the honor, privilege to taking a group out to Glacier National, and just seeing the images, the videos that you shared, it really sold why we do it. You think about the first couple pictures that you shared day one to the pictures that you shared on the last day, and the smiles and just the overall lightness in the people's faces that you could see. And that had nothing to do with, grabbing a fishing rod or a rifle or anything like that. And it was literally walking with no purpose.
Yeah.
And Trent, I think that's really where the DAV of Minnesota is really trying to take the outdoors to is we're not going to walk away and stop doing the hunting, fishing, because there's still a lot of Minnesotans, this Midwesterns that, older we get, they can't, veterans themselves don't feel comfortable doing it. So we want to continue to do those activities. But really to get after all generations, you just did the intro, serving all of us, all veterans. And you think about that, you got to figure out what other veterans want. And that's really where we're going right now.
Yeah, when you look at that empowering all who've served. And I'll tell you, that's the third time I've been fortunate enough to have the rough work assignment of bringing a group to a national park of veterans. And I've seen it over and over now. I've seen where you take veterans out, and it's not structured. This isn't, what I like about the DAV of Minnesota's outdoor program is its philosophy seems to be if you take veterans and you get them outdoors, it has healing properties.
Yep.
We don't bring a mental health professional or a quasi-mental health professional, which I think, unfortunately, some organizations do, and it kind of gets, I think, in the way of that. And over, as I've gotten to bring veterans to national parks and do these types of things, you see the natural healing ability, the natural kind of decompression that happens when you do two things. Put veterans in a beautiful place and surround them with people with a shared experience.
Yeah, absolutely. To add to that, Trent, I think the other thing is so unique about what the DAV Minnesota Outdoors program does is it's not show up 6 hours and spend some time with veterans and go home, right? We purposely have it multiple days because really to get after the therapeutical piece of what I think outdoors does for veterans, it takes time. It takes time to really get that person to feel the difference, to understand what, this activity is going to do for them. And you can't accomplish that in a couple hours. It takes time. And then there also is connecting them with others that are there, having them share experiences and just general life things. It gets people to feel comfortable.
And it's not prompted. It's natural, and that's what I really want to get across is it just happens. The groups that I've taken out, we don't do any awkward introduction games or anything like that. The veterans at their own pace open up to each other, and this last group. Are where we were staying, the lodge we were staying at wasn't quite ready. And within the first hour, some of them were sharing experiences completely unprompted. This was not structured. They just immediately felt comfortable surrounded by other veterans, and they started to share experiences that they absolutely would not have done if it wasn't a group of veterans that they were with.
And you talked about the initial start of introducing people. If you have that structured, hey, I'm Butch Whitehead, I am da-da-da, I served in the Army for this many years, you're Trent Dilks. You kind of set a bar where you think you have to kind of outdo somebody. There's a competition there. Let it naturally happen. Like some of our events, people are sitting on a bus for several hours, driving up to Canada or driving somewhere down to Texas, and the awkward silence in the beginning, it kind of gets those veterans to say, well, I'm going to start talking because I can't sit here in this vehicle for 8 hours.
It's natural.
It's just make it natural and not make it be forced on them.
And I've been to events that force that, and it's not, I don't know. I don't enjoy it. I feel like it sets a false tone because you have to come up with either your canned response, tell me the one thing you like about yourself or whatever. And immediately you almost feel like you're posing, right? And then you touched on something in a little segue here that I think it's important is we don't, and I did not see it, and I have not seen it on any of the events that I have been involved with. When you allow things to kind of flow naturally, we don't see the pissing contest.
Absolutely.
We don't see the discounting other service, discounting your own service. It doesn't seem to feed that competitiveness that sometimes we see. I think it comes from a place of defensiveness, right? You now have to present your service in a way that's going to impress somebody else. Right. And when you allow that natural flow, I don't think we've been seeing that in your experience.
And I think what's so unique and special about our program is trend about that is we're here to service all disabled veterans. It doesn't matter what your military service was, what you did in the military. You're a disabled veteran. You're a veteran that we're trying to just make sure you're being connected to what things that we can help you with. And it's not a competition. It's not like, well, I only did 2 years, but I got, medically discharged. It's not, then you talk to the next person, they're 20-some years. It's like, well, God, my military service doesn't really mean anything. And I don't want any of our veterans to feel that they're not equal and that they're not just as important to the brother and sister beside them. Because at the end of the day, I want every veteran to feel comfortable with who they are and why they're there.
And we know that connectedness with each other, with other veterans, with the shared experience, helps prevent some of the other problems that we see veterans have. It's better for their mental health. It's when we see veterans who are connected with the VA, and with other veterans in that way or in organizations, we see reductions in things like veteran suicide.
Yep.
I mean, the downstream effects of making sure that we're not kind of streaming or straining out which veterans qualify, which ones don't, and who should throw that out.
Right.
Every veteran benefits when they're connected with other veterans. And it doesn't have to do with combat service, non-combat, any of these things. The stats are there. It shows that it doesn't matter.
Right.
The ones that are struggling, there's not a cookie cutter thing. So we need to make sure we access them all.
The one thing I really like what we're talking about here, Trent, and that I think that I really want people to catch on to is if they've been listening, for the last 9 minutes, they'll understand is we're not talking about membership. We're not talking about you must be a DAV member. That, when we started this program, one of the first things we talked about it is we want to provide a service to all veterans. And, you highlighted, talking to some of the veterans you took out to the glacier about, okay, where's the catch? Where's this catch? Somewhere in this time, you're going to have a catch for me that, and, and as I highlight to you and to John Carson, takes a lot of people out is I want these veterans to learn who we are, what we do, and let them kind of take the lead, take the initiative to, hey, I want to be part of that organization. Because at the end of the day, I want them to be part of something that they're proud of, of people taking care of other people, veterans helping veterans. And if you're there saying, well, I only can take our membership, well, then you're limiting who you're really trying to help.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the DAV is here to help all veterans, period.
Well, and take this latest trip. I just got back from Montana as we're recording this. 5 of the 6 veterans that we brought, or 6 of the 7, sorry, 6 of the 7 veterans that we brought out there had never been on an organized veterans trip before. And I think once you start to require membership, once you start to throw those things in there, the hooks, you're going to eliminate those people, right? Because they're not a member, not just of our organization, they're not a member of any organization.
Right.
They haven't felt connected to that community. And so when they found something that they could participate in, that they, I've had people we've taken out on big trips that said they kept looking for the hook, right?
Yeah,
They kept looking for the catch. Like, these people going to make me cry around a campfire, I don't feel like banging on bongo drums. I just want to go somewhere pretty. And once they realize that's not there, I don't bring an application with me for membership.
Nope.
I don't give a membership pitch. Many of them end up joining, but because of what you said, because they see who we are, they see how we do things, and they want to be a part of that.
Trent, while you're out in Glacier, beautiful, scenery and all that, I was down south. I went the opposite direction. I went down to the great state of Iowa.
Very much like Glacier, Iowa. If a listener hasn't been there, it's pretty much Glacier.
Sure. Yep. But, I want to talk a little bit about that activity. While it's not one of the DAV Minnesota programs, but it does fall in the outdoors program. It really does. And have the opportunity to spend a week with 4 different veterans that were part of an adaptive sports clinic called Disabled Veterans Golf Classic that the VA and the National DAV put on. It really intrigued me and energized me to really focus on why we do it. These veterans, they're veterans. But what we found out is having the conversation through the week, they shared things that they may be going through. And I was able to help these veterans with maybe benefits. Some maybe needed assistance that they didn't know that they're eligible for this benefit, or they have been denied and they didn't know why they're being denied. Talking to a veteran that maybe needed, to listen to one of our very first podcasts, because the veteran didn't know about VA home loans. But when you spend the time with these veterans in whatever outdoor activity it may be, if it's just canoeing down the river or hiking in, one of the state parks, you get the chance to get this veteran to open up a little bit. You get to find out what are some of the struggles that he or she is dealing with. And being that we're connected with so many different resources, it's another avenue to help that veteran through some of the struggles.
It absolutely is, and I imagine down there. I haven't been to this glorious thing in Iowa. I've been to Iowa. That's how I know it looks like Glacier National Park. But
I don't know what part of Iowa you were in.
I imagine you see the same thing though, right? You start to see the decompression of the veteran. Right. They come in nervous. They come in unsure of what it's going to be, who they're going to be with, what it's going to be like. And some it's immediate, and some it's day 2, 3, 4.
Right.
But you start to see that decompression, right?
And one of the things that we highlighted the last day with the group, and they talked about what they got out of the week, and improving their golf score, this and that. And I said, one of the things I've noticed out of this group, day 1 when we met on Monday, you all said hi, introduced each other, but it was really kind of standoffish. You didn't really kind of having general conversations. By Thursday though, those veterans were jabbing at each other, joking and just having a great time like they've known each other for months, years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing is just the release that they showed on their face about, wow, what a week. I was able to finally feel good.
Yeah. Well, you got to get outside. I don't, structured, non-structured, people are not spending enough time outside. Whether that's hunting, fishing, hiking, golfing, whatever it is, you got to get out there. You got to let the sunlight hit you.
Yep.
You got to get rained on, too. You got to experience all of it. The last time I was in Iowa, it hailed on me on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it, but I was outside and I experienced Mother Nature. And I think that is something I know for myself. I get so locked into that day-to-day, okay, here's the routine. I got to get to the office. I got to do this. My lunch is packed. I don't even step outside for lunchtime. And then, especially with winter coming, all of a sudden, I'm leaving the office. It's dark. I don't want to go outside. I'm tired. And so I'm seeing the outdoor from my house to my truck to my office, and in reverse order.
And you're seeing it, but you're not feeling it.
Exactly.
And one thing I'll say that when it comes to the outdoor activities, and how we're really trying to branch out in different types of outdoor activities is because we want you to be able to disconnect from the everyday stressors of your life. And all those things that maybe are struggling with PTSD, these triggers, whatever you may have, or just putting that smile back on your face because you haven't been able to do an event because of your disability. We want you to get back in the outdoor activity and just take it all in. Take what Mother Nature brings. We're all military. I know we've trained in rain. I'm not sure about Air Force because I think Air Force, they don't really train in, inclement weather.
Yeah.
But
I've heard that.
I've heard of it, but at the same time is when you do get to enjoy whatever Mother Nature has in front of you, if it is a snowstorm, it's like, oh, wow, okay, change of events. Being able to, got to stop, but you come back into the cabin or wherever you're staying at, and you still are part of the event. You're part of, hey, I'm not going straight to work. I'm not going home to, now I got to do a little more lawn. I got the stress of, I got to stop with groceries. You're there to enjoy it.
And often it doesn't take that much. It can be, for me, when I start to feel like I'm not grounded anymore, it can be going outside with my cup of coffee, right?
Yep.
Because I haven't noticed, the outdoors in a week and doing those types of things. I think we touched on, though, and one of the last points I'd like to hit for this segment is the after effect of the programs we're doing. So when you were talking, it reminded me of our first trip out to Olympic National Park. Brought a group of veterans. One of the teams, the pairs that we brought out there, it was a husband and wife, both disabled veterans. And they both came out. They were both selected for the trip. And the husband, he had 2 hips replaced and a knee as a result of his injuries. He was in his 30s. And he thought that part of his life, the hiking, the enjoying the outdoors, was over.
Mm-hmm.
He really did. He believed that he had not pushed himself. He had all these surgeries, all these scars, and he thought it was done. I brought him on a 9-mile hike, and he crushed it, and his wife crushed it, and everybody in that group of various levels of disabilities absolutely crushed it. They saw a waterfall. They saw all the beautiful things. And what I'm getting at afterwards, after that group left and we brought them home, it changed their lives.
Mm-hmm.
They are out there hiking as a couple with their kids. They had 3 young kids. They are enjoying the outdoors. I still get updates from them. And when you think about the investment in a program like this, it's expensive to bring a group out there. But we didn't just change that veteran's life or both of those veterans' lives. Their entire family is experiencing the world in a different way because it's something that we could bring home. You think about golf. When somebody who never thought they could do that,
Right.
and now they can enjoy a golf course or fishing or hunting. We don't have to exclude those things.
Right.
Those are also things that are important and a great way to experience.
And to highlight the fishing piece, about changing somebody's life, taking part in the Trolling for Troops event. The DAV is very active in that event up at Camp Ripley. And we had a veteran this year that was wheelchair bound. And the last couple of years that he's been up there, he's had to fish from the dock because he didn't feel comfortable having other volunteers lift his wheelchair into a boat and then out of the boat because the boat's already in the water.
Yeah.
So we invested into this Hoyer lift, and we literally lifted the veteran out of his wheelchair and put him into a boat chair. And the smiles, while he's a little scared getting lifted out of the chair, he was very honest about how scared he was.
Yeah.
But we reassured him that he was safe going up there, and everything was going to be safe. Getting him out of the boat, come out, and come back to the banquet, he was just in tears. And I asked him because if he missed the fish, and he goes, no, this is the first time I've been in a boat in 46 years.
Changed his life.
Because now he knows that he can go do those activities. While he may be not having a Hoyer lift, it's literally he felt comfortable getting back in something that wasn't on solid ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and there are places that they're putting those in. The DNR is working accessibility. So, I think that's important. Kind of as we wrap up segment 1, I'm going to have you back on for segment 3. We'll talk about the future of the outdoors. In segment 2, tune in. We're going to talk about local outdoors programs and ways that those can have an impact and ways that we can reach out. So thanks for being here for segment
Trent.
1, and we'll talk to you real soon.